Hello, dual enrollment students. My name is Toia Phillips, and I will be reviewing your guide to dual enrollment, College 101. In this presentation, we will be talking about college expectation, reviewing some tips for success. We'll be discussing plagiarism. We'll talk about WebAdvisor very briefly and what expectations you have as a college student. So we'll go ahead and begin. Welcome. I hope you will enjoy your role as a TCC college student. Congrats on being ahead of the game by taking college classes while you're still in high school. Now, with that privilege of taking college classes comes a little bit of a higher expectation and responsibility. So in your Tarrant County College classes, you might notice that they're going to be set up a little bit different. Your professors may interact with you a little bit different than your high school teachers. That is okay. That is all part of the dual enrollment experience. So what are some of the expectations that are expected of you in high school? And we're going to take a look at what those expectations look like as a college student and kind of compare and contrast the two. Now, as a college student, you are expected to refer to your class syllabus for your assignments and deadlines. So a professor might give a lecture and never even say to you, hey, there's a paper due tomorrow. But that professor does expect you to know that there's a paper due because they have provided a course syllabus, and your course syllabus will outline in detail all of your class assignments, when your readings will be due, what you will be doing with each class period, as well as your test dates. So in college, you wouldn't necessarily receive reminders about assignments and coursework or missed deadlines. Well, as a high school student, you may. You may receive reminders. In high school, you may not have to study as much for your high school class. Your college classes may present to be more challenging. So you will need to make sure that you are preparing your schedule to allow you to study 2 to 3 hours for every hour of class time you have. So if you're taking an English Comp 1301 and it's 3 credits, you need to be anticipating that you are going to be doing homework and studying for at least 2 hours a day that you have that class. Or if you have that class 2 times a week, then you would need to make sure that you set aside 4 to 5 hours just for your English Comp. Okay? So, your professor may lecture. They won't stop and check in with you and say, hey, do you understand what I'm saying? They are going to expect you to raise your hand if you have questions. They expect you to come to them to get clarification. In high school, your teacher might reach out if they believe you are struggling. Well, as a college student, you must reach out to your professor about missing assignments or to obtain any help, okay? Expected to complete short-term assignments, and then they reintroduce the concepts in class. Well, as a college course, the way that's set up is they will assign reading, and the reading may not, whatever the topics were, may not be addressed in class. It just depends on the professor. So you have to make sure that you are doing your own work. You're making sure that you're reading when they are assigning readings, because it is up to you to make sure that you understand the concepts and the content that will be presented in your college courses. The responsibility is on you as the student. How to be successful in a college class? Make sure that you communicate with your professor. You should know your professor's name, and you should make sure that your professor knows your name. Make sure that you are in class, that you're taking notes, that you're being prepared. And one of the easiest tips for success that I can give any college student: before your class starts, make sure you access your course syllabus and figure out how your professor is going to grade, figure out the days that your assignments are going to be due, figure out when your readings are going to be due, and when you're expected to post. And remember, as a dual enrollment student, we do understand that you have obligations. You may have other obligations such as extracurricular activities with your high school. However, that does not excuse you or the work that you need to do to remain successful in your college courses. So you must attend class at least 85% of the time. If you do not attend class 85% of the time, failure to do so may result in the professor withdrawing you from that. Another topic that is important to be familiar with as a college student is plagiarism. Please remember, plagiarism is any act or instance of using or imitating the language, thoughts, ideas of another without authorization and without citing them. So you're not giving the originator of the information credit. And plagiarism includes directly quoting, summarizing, or paraphrasing the ideas of others without identifying the sources. Buying or selling someone else's work and submitting it is your own. So for example, your BFF might be really good at writing papers and you are in that English class and you're struggling and you have a 3-page essay due and your friend will say, hey, I'll do that for you. And they write your paper and you turn that in. Well, that is plagiarism, and you will get in a lot of trouble for it. Many professors will instantly fail you for plagiarism, so please keep that in mind. Make sure that you are submitting your own work, okay? Make sure that you're submitting your own work. Ways to prevent plagiarism will include speak to your professor. As a TCC college student, the Writing Center, the Writing Lab is available to you. There's also the library. The library has resources, they have books, they have ebooks, they have articles. So any venue you need to research, we have a place for you to do that, whether it's the library, whether it's the Writing Center, whether it's online tutorials. So you can prevent plagiarism by reaching out to any of those following places. The next thing that I want to make sure that you understand as a dual enrollment student is a way to access your educational records is through WebAdvisor. And on WebAdvisor, you are able to check your grades, access your schedule, register for classes, access Blackboard, view holds, access your degree plan, request your transcripts, obtain your ID, or access your TCC email. I won't spend a lot of time on WebAdvisor because there is actually another tutorial video that outlines how to access WebAdvisor and how to navigate the different features of WebAdvisor. So if you need some more in-depth information about WebAdvisor, I encourage you to go to our Blackboard organization page and read that video about WebAdvisor. The last thing that we will be talking about is your responsibility as a student. Okay, we kind of reviewed what it would take for you to be successful in a class. Well, here is what your professors are going to expect for you as a TCC college student. You need to get to class on time. Getting to class on time ensures that you won't miss important information, assignments, or quizzes. Make sure that you are coming to class prepared. Make sure you have something to write with. Make sure you have a notebook. Make sure you have highlighters. Whatever is going to be needed for you to obtain the content and get the information, that is what you're bringing to class. They might require you to have a calculator. They might require you to have highlighters, but you definitely need to make sure that you're always coming to class prepared with your technology, with your supplies, etc. Remember that you can always ask questions. There's no silly questions. There's no silly, do not be afraid to ask questions. Your college professors will expect you to raise your hand and ask questions if you are not understanding the material. Here it is again, read your course syllabus. Reviewing your course syllabus is one of the easiest ways to ensure success. You're going to be able to gauge how much work you're going to need for the class. You're going to be able to gauge how your professor is going to grade. You're going to be able to gauge your time management. You will know when big projects are due and you can plan. When you are in class, make sure you're turning off your cell phones. Make sure that you're not scrolling on social media. Make sure that your phones are not out unless your professor is specifically requesting you to look something up or complete something on your cell phone, which they may do. No social media. Make sure you're planning ahead. One of the things that I talked about earlier was procrastination. I have been a procrastinator in my life. I thought, if I can wait to the last minute and get it done, and so what? That did not serve me well in college, and it definitely did not serve me well in graduate school. Make sure you're looking at your schedule. Make sure that you're planning time to complete your assignments and submit them by the deadline. One other thing I want to talk about, please remember that these are college classes. College classes a lot of times are a little bit different from high school classes because your professor will facilitate discussions and they want to hear your opinion. Make sure that you are respecting your professor as well as your other classmates. Not everyone has the same opinion. The college course is supposed to serve as a safe space to exchange ideas. So even if someone says something that you do not agree with, you cannot get mad, you cannot get upset. You should understand that everyone is going to have different opinions. And the whole point in a way to grow intellectually is to make sure that we're sharing our different opinions and ideas. There is nothing wrong with diversity. It's a great thing. And then once again, make sure you're respecting your instructor. You're discussing any issues with him or her privately. Now, the last thing that we want to get into is FERPA. The only thing you need to remember about FERPA is this is the legislation that governs your education record. This is important to you. Why? Because as a high school student, you are still living in your parents' homes and houses, and they're still responsible for you. However, unless you give us permission to share your information with your parents, we are unable to do so. FERPA prevents us from sharing your grades, sharing how you're doing. If you have any questions that you need to ask or you have any issues that need to be resolved, you cannot say, hey mom, hey dad, will you contact TCC and find this out for me? Because we will not speak to your parents. We are only going to speak to you. We work with you as a student. So it is important, if you want your parents to have that access, then you fill out the FERPA waiver, giving them access to your educational records. Okay? Well, that concludes our presentation for today. I wish you guys I wish you well and wish you much success. Good luck on your journey as a dual enrollment student. Have a great day.